Hey, this is David with No Chaser, and I am still sober even though my beard makes it look like I'm not, but I swear I am. I'm just not shaving for some reason, even though it's summer and it's hot as shit out. But anyways, that's beside the point. Today I want to talk about something that I think just doesn't affect alcoholics and addicts. It affects people with any sort of mental illness. Hell, it even affects, normal people, those weirdos. And it's something that is truly a mystery to me that I wish I could just break the code of. And here's how it occurs. So even just last night, I am laying in my bed and I'm trying to fall asleep, but I know I have an open slot of in between my plans and stuff that I'm doing where I could write and I could exercise. I could do those two things. Those two things are, wellness things, and they're things that I enjoy doing, so it's a no-brainer. And I plan I'll do that, and I even get farther into it. I was like, I usually have this break in time, throughout the week where I could do that over and over again. In fact, you know what? Now I'm just gonna plan for that. That is gonna be what I do, and this will be great. I mean, this will be something that will add some positivity to my life, and like I said, it's good for me, and it's something I enjoy. Well, today that block of time came around, and I, for some insane reason, did not have any of the motivation I had the night before. And not only that, but like I said, these were things I enjoyed doing, or at least I thought I did. Yet when it came to the moment of actually doing them, I was just like almost scrambling to find other things to do. It was as if the cognitive dissonance between my brain telling me this is good and I enjoy it, and yet what I actually wanted to do at that moment. There's so many times that I've created these plans and these goals, and I usually, even for me, I think that I'm pretty realistic with my goals. I know it's easy to get caught up in New Year's resolutions or things in your mind where you're maybe overshooting what you're capable of. But over the years, I thought I became more realistic with it. But, there's just these insane things that my mind does where I can't seem to if I could just bottle the motivation and the idealism that I have for myself and open it at certain times. It seems that when I'm ready to do something proactive, it is always at the worst times. It's something in my mind where I'm at work and I know I can't do it then, but I'll do it later. And then later comes and I don't want to do it. Or the example I just used, what happens all the time is when I'm laying in bed and I have the ideas for tomorrow. I mean, maybe my brain only comes up with these plans because it comes up with these plans at times where it knows I can't do them. But I just like the feeling of promoting wellness in my head or something. I don't know, but I come across this a lot. And I think I've heard certainly a lot of other people do too, where they have these things they know they should implement in their life, and yet when it comes right to it, it's just it's a chore. It's almost burdensome. A lot of these things working out, or for some people going to church, or some sort of proactive hobby that they have, they're the opposite of naps. Where so at least for me, these things are incredibly hard for me to bring myself to do them. Yet I know after every time I do them, I feel better about myself. Maybe not by a whole lot, but I've never felt disappointed about doing some of these things. Now, the reverse of that is naps. For me, nap is something I'm always looking forward to do. I can I know when there's a break or I have some time to do it, I look forward to doing it. Even though I always, again, this is just me, but I always feel like shit after it. I'm always just me in the future now, more tired and feeling not as good as I did before. Sometimes I try to do time travel naps where if I don't feel good at this moment in this afternoon, if I take an hour and a half nap, maybe that future version of me will feel better. It never works. And I know it never works. And there's these things that I always feel better afterwards. And yet it's so much easier for me to go for the nap. And I can't change that structure in my mind. There's times where I've got on these schedules of doing these good habits, and yet they get easier to do, but I never get excited about them. I wish there was some way I could change my brain to being excited towards this stuff. Now, here's where I think it comes in for alcoholics and addicts specifically difficult. So with me, I'm trying to add some new things into my life to, again, promote better wellness and to feel better and to feel more accomplished. Whether these are proactive hobbies of things I like to do that actually have different avenues in my life, such as writing, or they're just things that are just naturally good for you, like working out. These things are always difficult for me to do. And I don't know why I can't change that. But I think, in my addictive brain, there is a very clear reason for that. Because a lot of these things that I do are they are incremental things. Where if you work out and you get on a schedule of working out, it's just it's a build up to where you start feeling better. You get an endorphin type rush, maybe in the short term. But mainly it's something that you build towards and you just feel good about doing it and implementing in your life. But it's not something that gives you any sort of gratification quickly. Same thing with writing that I do, or I know a lot of you out there may have some sort of a hobby. I know people like to make jewelry, people like some sort of arts and crafts stuff, or being out in nature, whether it's hiking or fishing, or just a lot of other things that are good for you and you end up enjoying. But it doesn't give you that sort of instant gratification thing. And that's what all these bad habits that I have do. Like, instead of exercising, having some terrible meal that, it's tasty at the moment, like, I don't know, Little Caesars, $5 hot and ready. $5 hot and ready is almost worse. I would rather go back to drinking than that. When I put that in my body's like, dude, go back to the cheap vodka, Jesus. But I do enjoy the hot and ready. This is a bad promo for Little Caesars. I do enjoy it, but I feel like shit afterwards. And I always feel like shit, as I should. But it's so easy for me to just jump on that rather than to jump on and go to the gym. There's other things like masturbating and looking at porn, which I always feel worse afterwards, especially for guys. There's what's called like a post-nut clarity, where, I don't know, you start thinking about things, at least in my mind, too clearly, and you just start thinking way too soberly, and you don't feel great. Every time after I masturbated and looked at porn, I get rid of the porn. I'm like, Jesus, dude, you're disgusting. Again, something that's super easy for me to go and do because it has that instant gratification feel towards it. And because it gives you that little thing that you enjoy, whether it's the eating of the food, whether it's the released jerking off, or it could be something for other people like shopping, just going on Amazon and just finding new stuff and just buying it immediately, even if your bank account says you shouldn't do it, or even if it's just something you shouldn't be wasting money on, or it's something you won't use anyways. And I'll just speak for me. In my brain, it's so hard to try to get towards this idea of doing things that are good, and they just come in incremental nature. You don't get the feeling right away. You don't get that instant gratification. It just builds over time. This was especially something hard, I know for other people, like antidepressants. Like antidepressants, the whole idea of it is that it's something that, is supposed to help you. And by the way, it's not like a happiness pill, which just shoots your dopamine up like drugs can or anything like that, but it's just supposed to get you to normal a little bit over time. And that sounds, at least to me, for a person with the addictive mind, that sounds like bullshit. I need something where I have the thing, I ingest it, and I feel a certain way. And when it doesn't have that, it's really hard to get with the program. As of right now, I know that there are these changes I need to make, and I try to be less pessimistic. I try to have a sort of checklist. A lot of people find that having a checklist, actually doing that physically, marking off the box, feels good. I try to implement these things into getting me to do these healthy behaviors, but I still can't get over the fact of how difficult they are to do. And just pulling myself to do these things, it's so easy to get distracted by something else. And again, another part of trying to get better habits is there's a mistake that a lot of people fall into where they do this thing where they don't consider time. And this may sound weird, but time is not in their equation of when they want to do things, where they'll go, I'll work out. And the problem is they think of it as just adding something in their schedule rather than taking away. Because if you say you're going to work out, you go to the gym and then you go do your workout and you shower, like all that. Let's say just conservatively that's like an hour. The question is not that you're going to add an hour and you're going to do this thing. The question is, what are you going to take away now? Because most likely you were getting about as much sleep as you needed or wanted. So, I mean, are you going to cut out an hour of that sleep? You know, you may plan to do that, but all of a sudden, if you try to do that and you wake up an hour earlier, you may not want to. I mean, it's a really big question of rather not what you're going to put into your life, but what are you going to take away? And there's so many times where people are like, you know, they have this, again, the idealized version of the self where like, I don't need to watch TV or, you know, mindlessly play on my phone or do any of that stuff. But the truth is that you if you're honest with yourself, you enjoy these things. And the idea of a guilty pleasure is kind of this messed up way, like truly a guilty pleasure is drinking and using drugs because you feel guilt because of the pleasure you get from it. You know, watching a dumb show, if it's relaxing or interesting or just fun to be mindless, I don't really understand why that's a guilty pleasure. You know, as long as it's not hurting something or promoting something awful, like it shouldn't be seen as a sense of like a guilt. But my point about this is you have to be honest about the ways in which you spend time, about what you enjoy in your life. You know, that's one thing too I'll go back to, the idea of exercise. I even now kept saying I enjoy exercise, and it's like, do I really though? I enjoy some aspects of it, and I enjoy the idealized version of myself that does it, but as an actual hobby, like being in there and doing the working out, do I really enjoy it that much? Like I enjoy a lot of other things way more than that. And that's like a true reality I have to look at and really assess when I'm trying to add healthy behaviors. You know, if I try to plan something that I know will be super good and proactive and healthy for my overall well-being, I really have to be like, yeah, but will you actually enjoy doing this? Because that matters too. You can tell yourself that, you know, fruits and vegetables and eat all this food and this food is healthy for you, so of course you're gonna like it. That doesn't change your taste buds. That doesn't make you all of a sudden have it taste better or anything. You have to be realistic, and I try to be realistic in what I do, and man, it is difficult to get away that mechanism that's built in my head of instant gratification. It is so hard just to be like, you have to be patient with things, and you sometimes have to do things that you don't want to do initially to get the reward later. So not only do you not want to really do it that much in the beginning, but your reward isn't even coming quickly too. And that's where I'm at and trying to get better, but it's all part of the process. But I really appreciate you guys watching this and any of the feedback that I've gotten from you personally. Again, I hope all of you are well, and I'll come out with another video here soon. Thanks.